One way to create a report in Insight is to use the report wizard. You can access the wizard by clicking Create Report on the left side of your screen or clicking the Create Report above your Actions menu on the right. When you open the report wizard, you'll be prompted to name your report, and you can name it, you can change the name later, but give your report a name and then determine which custom folder you'd like to save your report in. You can add a description letting people know what the report includes. And then you can either click the Next button or you can use the tabs across the top of the wizard pane. We're going to select Categories next, and the categories are the tables that house the data sets you'll use for your report. We've tried to make it as easy as possible for you to find the correct data sets. So if you'll start by clicking the New folder, you'll select a main category, and then if you need a subcategory or a couple subcategories, you can select those. And then if you do ever need the third folder, that's there for you as well. That has information that is used for very detailed reporting. There is a warning there, just letting you know that it is information to be used for those sophisticated reports, and just generally you won't have to go into that folder. That's why there's a warning label. It won't blow up or anything. So we'll select a main category. These categories house specific data sets. Like if I selected the inventory category, it would only return the inventory data set, like car info, car costs, expenses, options, features, things like that. Anything that I could find in inventory, but that's it. I won't get customer information, contract information, payment information. None of that is there. So I'm going to select the contracts category, and I can move that into my category field by double clicking, by highlighting and clicking the add button, or by clicking and dragging the category name. Now, once I select a category, all the other main category options become unavailable, and now I can access the subfolder. So if I were to do a customer report and I needed to get reference information or co-buyer information, I could select the application table or the co-buyer table and move those over, and then I would have that information as well. If I wanted to do a repo report and I needed employment information, I could pull over the current employer residence information table, and that would house the data fields for that. I can pull over repo information. I could do terminations if I want to do a write-off report, anything like that. The contracts category houses 90% of the information you'll need to create a general report. We have contract information, payment information, customer information, and inventory information in there, as well as some user-defined data set information. So I could build a report strictly with this one category, and there are a lot out there that you can build using just that. But if you do need another data set, you can pull that over. I'm going to pull over the collections report or data set, and then I'll click next, and now we sort. In this, you can sort your report by a number of things. You could sort by payment dates, sale date. You could sort by salesperson or collector ID. You could sort by company code. If you have multiple companies and you want your data to come back grouped by company 1, then company 2, then company 3, you can sort it that way. So you're going to tell the system here how you want to sort the report. So I'm going to sort by company code, and I'll go in ascending order. And then I think I want to sort by the date sold. That's an easy one. So, and I'm going to change that to descending so I can see most recent, and then go back from there. Now I'll click next, and we're going to get to our filters page. Here you're going to tell the system how you want or what information you want to include or exclude from your report. So I'm going to select company code again, and this time what I'm going to do is say that I want the company code that is one of company 1, and then I'll click the plus sign, and I'll add company 2, and I'll click the plus sign, and then the system will return only data for company 1 or company 2. Now, and company 2, because it's one of. I could also say that I want to run this report for everything that has a remaining balance over $5,000. So I can come down to my ConOpen table. That's where I'll find payment information. And I'll go to the remaining balance. I'm going to pull that over, and I'm going to say that I only want accounts greater than or equal to $5,000. Now I can continue to add filters. I can filter this report however I want. If I want to come over here and exclude something, then I could say not equal to if I know something specific, or I could say does not contain. So I'm going to exclude anything with the BK or bankruptcy tag from my report. So I'm going to pull all the data that does not contain BK. And I could do the same thing. I could pull this over again and say does not contain ROH, repo on hand, and then go back to the first BK. I'm going to check this group with next filter. So now the system will return all information or all the data that does not contain BK or ROH in the tags that are on the accounts. So you can continue to filter. You can start creating your report and then add filters once you've previewed. And then even after you save your report, you can set this so that others that would run your report have the option to create or change filters as they see necessary. Now I'm going to go to the layout page, and I'm actually going to lay out my information. So I'm going to summarize by company, and then I want to add page footer and have a grand total. Now what you're going to do is select the data that you want in your report. And the way that you select it and bring it over is going to determine the layout of your report. So the first thing I want in my report, and it's usually the first thing in every report, is the contract number. So I would click and drag that over, and now you can see it's going to be here. Then I could drag over the customer's full name. I'll go down to the customer information and find full name. And that's going to go last name, comma, first name. So you can do a sort even by last name, and it would put every customer in your report in alphabetical order. Then I could say I want to pull in that remaining balance. But before I do that, maybe date sold. So let's go back up here. Put date sold. Maybe car info. If you select car info, that will give you the year, make, and model of the vehicle. You could also go into the inventory table or in data set and get the car year, car make, car model, and have those as separate data fields rather than using car info, which lumps it all together, year, make, and model, as one data field. But I'm going to leave it year, make, and model, car info, and then I will go and do that remaining balance. So I will go into the Con Open, find my remaining balance, pull that over, and then you can see at the bottom how your report's starting to look. So I've got contract, full name, date sold, car info, remaining balance. Well, maybe I want car info to be before the date sold. So to change something like that, come over to your data field and move the arrows up and down to change the way that things are laid out on your report. I could also say that I need a total number of contracts. So I could go to the contract data field and say I want a count. So now that's going to give me a total number. I could go to the remaining balance and say I want a sum total of all the money that I have outstanding. Then I can keep going and I can add more fields to my report using the categories. So if I wanted, I could go in the Con Open and I could say last payment date, last payment amount, and then I could change over to my collections table and I could say that I wanted to select the promise to pay date. I could say I want the promise to pay by date and then the amount. I'm going to say promise to pay by, and that will give me when the customer agreed to make the payment. The promise to pay amount, and then I'll go up and I want to know who created that promise to pay, so I'll select the collector ID. So here's my report so far. Now, what I'll do is say finish, and when I finish, it's going to take me to the editable window for the report. So you'll have a grid that you can now format and customize. The report wizard won't do any formatting for you. So if you previewed this right now, you wouldn't have your dates set in a standard format, your balance totals, and your promise to pay amounts wouldn't be configured as currency. So you still have formatting that you need to do, but the wizard laid everything out for you in the specific way you asked it to. So now I can look at this report. I have all my columns. I have my page header, which is containing the column headers right now. But those are kind of funny because they just pulled over the data field title. So I'm going to change those. I know I'll want to do that. So I've got contract, customer, vehicle info, sale date, balance, last paid amount, promise to pay date, and promise to pay amount, and my collector. So I've changed those, and then I have another header because I said I wanted to sort my report by company. So this is going to sort the report and then break everything out by company 1 and then by company 2 and so on. I also have a company footer that was created in the wizard, and this is going to house the totals for each company. And then under that, I have a report footer that will give the totals for the entire report. So it's going to add everything in company 1 to company 2 and return the totals there. So if I preview this right now, all I have to do is click this preview button. It's defaulted to PDF. If I wanted to preview in something different, I could select HTML, Excel, RTF, CSV. I'm going to leave it in PDF, and I'm going to click that to preview, and we'll see what we have so far. And remember, when you create a report and you add your filters, you might see once you get going and you're previewing that you need to change some filters, add some filters, things like that. So here's what we have so far. I can see that I have some formatting I need to do. My vehicle information is wrapping around, so is my customer information. My balances, like I said, aren't set to currency, and my dates are here, and then I have a bunch of zeros, so maybe I need to filter my report some more because I don't need accounts that don't have promises on them if the report I'm building is looking for promise to pay information. So I know I need some formatting done. Now, the system opened your preview in a tab next to your edit window. So you don't have to worry about creating something and then saving it and then closing and running the report and then going back in to edit it. You can start your edit process, click preview, and then it'll open a separate instance and you still have your edit window open so you can make changes. So the first thing I'm going to do is filter my report. To do that, you'll come over here to the toolbar and use the report options button. And here you have rename, so you can rename your report, description, you could change or add a description. You have categories, so as you're building your report, if you realize that the data set you need or the data fields you're looking for aren't included in the categories that you originally selected, you can click categories and pull in other categories so you have newer or additional data sets to choose from. The sort option is here. So I could go in and sort. So I said earlier customer name. So I can go down to the customer table or the contracts table, customer data set, and find full name. And then pull that over, and I can sort in ascending order. So I'm going to move that up so it'll sort by company code, then customer name, then date sold. So I'm changing the priority of the sort when I'm moving the arrows up and down. I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to add a filter so I can get rid of those zeros in my report. I'm going to look in the collections table, and I am going to scroll down to promise to pay amount. I'm going to pull that over, and I'm going to say promise to pay amount is greater than 0. And I'm going to click OK. Now my report should return only accounts that have a remaining balance greater than $5,000 or greater than or equal to, that have no out for or no repo on hold or on hand and bankruptcy tags, and then it will only return data where the promise amount is greater than 0. So I could preview at this point, but I know we need to do some formatting, so I'll go ahead and I will do some formatting. The contract number was okay, but I know I need some more room for my customer name, so I can just drag the full name column to give myself more room. I could do the same for the vehicle information, and then sales date, balance, those should be okay. I'll just give them a little extra room just in case, and then we can format the actual data. Okay. contract, customer name, car info, those are all good. What I want to do is justify or align my data that's returning numbers for me. So I'm going to, and I'll include collector as well, I'm going to highlight all the data, and to do that, what I'll do is highlight the first cell, hold my shift button down, and highlight the last cell, and then it'll grab everything. Then I'm going to come up and I'm going to align the data. I'm going to do the same thing for the column headings, just so they look the same. And then what I can do is start to format these. So this is a date field. So I come up here to format cells, and that's this button. I will select date and say how I want that to return. The next one is a balance. So that's a number. I can put my 2 decimal places. I want the currency sign. And if I have a negative number, I could do the negative symbol or put it in parentheses. And I like it to stand out if it's negative, so I'll change the color to red. And then I'll do the same thing for the other fields, so I can get my formatting together. And then we'll preview and see what we come back with. One thing that you can do if you don't like to click and drag your columns over because then everything's not uniform, you can insert columns and then play with the pixels or the width that those are set in, and keep everything uniform, and then you can merge cells and add your data that way. But we'll keep everything, it looks pretty much similar. If you need to include or insert more columns, you just left click on an existing column and say whether you want to insert before or after that column. And the same thing if you start creating a report and you need to delete some columns, then you just left click and delete. I need to format these to numbers. There are sums, so let me just do that really quickly. Then we will preview this and see what we get back. So I've got count. I need to align these. All right. I'm going to hit the preview button and we'll see how our report looks now. When while this is executing, just so you know, we are pulling information on a website. It has to go and find the information in the server and then bring it back to the website. So the execution process, depending on the amount of data that you're asking the system to return, can take anywhere from a few seconds to a few minutes to return. So don't be surprised if your report runs for a minute or two, even up to 5 minutes, and before it runs and returns report information. I've seen someone run a report trying to get 2 years worth of data at one time, and it took a great many minutes to return that much information. So keep that in mind as you're building your reports. If it does take a long time and you're thinking that it just shouldn't take that long, then you may need to go in and filter or change some filter information. All right, so we've got this back, and right now I can see I still need some more room in my customer and vehicle areas, and it looks like my collector field needs some more room as well. And the other ones look okay. I've got my numbers all set to currency, and my dates are returning uniform information. My report is being sorted alphabetically like I asked it to, and there are no balances that are less than $5,000. So all my filters are working. So now my system opened another occurrence or another instance when I clicked the preview button again. So you can leave those open and just keep opening new instances, or you can just click the X to close your preview and then go back to your report. So I am going to increase these fields, and I'll increase my collector field, and then I can preview it again. So you just make your edits and preview, and then make your edits again and preview. Then once the report runs and executes, you'll see your new preview. And if everything is okay, then you could save. So I still need more room for my collectors and my vehicle. The customer names look like they're returning all right now. So vehicle info, I'm going to stretch that out some more. And I'll put some more room on my collector. All right. So now, one thing I noticed also is that my information isn't separated very well. So I can format to separate information as well. Let me scroll down. All right. And at the bottom you can see I have my totals. Here are the company totals and then the complete total. And I'll go back up. I'm going to say I want to do some border lines to separate the information that I have. A good tip to remember is that when you're adding borders or boxes around data, if you add a line or a box around a piece of data in your detail section, that box or that line will return for every record that you have in the report. So you don't want to make lines here in the detail area unless you specifically do it on purpose. What you would do, if you want to separate your totals from your data information, you can highlight the first cell, hold your shift button, highlight the last cell, go to Format Cells, click on Border, and insert or increase the thickness of the border line here in the report footer. So I'm going to increase that to a 2. And that's the top line, I know, because I want it at the end of my report. So I'm going to click OK, and now there's a line separating my data from my totals. I can do the same thing for my page headers. So I'll draw a border line there, and this time it'll be on the bottom. And then it separates my headings from my data. I am going to come over here and put in another, put in another line. This one, I'm going to put the top line. I'm going to put a left line, and I'll put the right line. And then I'll do one on the bottom as well. So I could do this, or I could just click Uniform, and then I'll get the box and click OK, and now there's a line around my title, my report title. So that's how you insert your borders and your lines that you want to use to separate the different information in your report. Once you're satisfied with your report and you have everything formatted the way that you want it to be formatted, simply click the Save button and you'll save your data, and then you can close your report. Make note that when you close your report, because you've been working for more than 15 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes, the system is going to kick you back out to the sign-in page and you're going to be prompted to sign in. You won't lose the information you just spent all that time working on, but for security reasons, the Insight system makes you sign in every 10 to 15 minutes. So don't be alarmed when you close your report and you have to sign back in. When you do that, you'll be redirected to the main landing page, and here you could see your report in the comprehensive report list. If you scrolled through, you can go to your custom folder and your report will be there as well. Now you can see here, the report we just built was created in HTML. I don't want my report to run in HTML. So if you need to make edits to something like that, or if you need to change the name of it, then you go back into your Actions menu, click Edit, and go into your Report Options menu. And if I want to change the way my report is formatted, the custom export format, then I'll change it from default, which the report wizard sets for you, and I'm going to change it into PDF. That's going to be my default export type. I can also exclude certain types of exports so that when users run this report, they won't be able to even choose to run it in HTML or Excel. I can do that. I can say whether or not I want users to be able to create their own filters for the report. So if I want them to be able to filter, I would check this box, and they'll be given the filter pane when they run the report, and they can change the filters or leave it as is and click OK. I could also say whether I want this to be on a letter size paper or legal paper. I could change it from portrait to landscape, and these are going to be then the general defaults for the report you've created. And now if I needed to change the name, I just come in and give my report a new name or title. Then click OK. And it'll take the place of the title you had for your report. Save your edits or your changes, and then close the report, and you'll be taken to the main landing page. Now you can find your report again. Here's the basic information report, and it's also in your custom folder. From this point, you can run the report when you need it. You can go to your Actions menu and set it on an email schedule, and you could send it to other recipients. If you don't need the report anymore, you're free to delete it. It's in your custom folders. But that is how you create your report using the Report Wizard.